Well, knots of screaming progressives, increasingly a fact of life across the country, certainly here in Washington. Leaders on the left are causing this. They're egging on their followers. And from restaurants to the steps of Supreme Court, the followers are responding.
You see anybody from that cabinet, you get out and you create a crowd.
When they go low, we kick them.
We believe survivors.
Sexist, racist, anti-gay.
We believe survivors. We believe survivors.
Shut it down. 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 Shut it down.
This has been going on for months now. Leaders of the Democratic Party have said virtually nothing about it, so of course it's getting worse. The headquarters of the Manhattan Republican Party was just vandalized on the Upper East Side after a week of getting harassing phone calls. Meanwhile, the left continues to project that it is the right that is fetishizing violence. Howard Dean, who once ran for president despite intellectual disabilities, wrote this, quote, "Trump seems to like people who murder their opposition. Bet he'd like to do the same," said Howard Dean. Former Governor Dan Bongino was a former Secret Service officer and NRA television contributor, and he joins us tonight. Dan, this does seem like projection here. So as the left gets more violent, they become more convinced that it's actually the right getting violent.
Yeah, no, I don't believe for a second, and I don't want to speak for you, Tucker, but I don't think you do either, that the left actually believes the right is violent. And the reason I say that is they've had to fabricate stories to make the right appear violent. Remember the famous episode up on the Hill during Obamacare where a number of congressmen alleged that that racial slurs were hurled at them and that they were spat on, and yet multiple people said, listen, we'll give you $10,000 if you can produce a scintilla of video evidence that this actually happened, and they didn't. We had the famous Sarah Palin, bullseye pictogram, which had been used repeatedly throughout history, and that was an indicator of violence. So they're just making this up. But, Tucker, I see two real problems here. Number one is remember, the left needs state power because they're takers. They're takers of your money, your liberty, your freedom, your health care. They need state power to do that. As they lose it, this is almost like an extinction burst of behavior for them, to use a psychological term. But secondly, the real problem, Tucker, that I know you've been highlighting recently is the media on the left, their normalization of this chaos is deeply disturbing, and it's an effort to cover for the Democrat Party, and that's what's troubling.
I totally agree. We just got, late this afternoon, video, kind of an amazing exchange. So on Capitol Hill, as you know, it's now very common for people to show up and start screaming at lawmakers, Republicans. Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana walking down the hallway this afternoon, and had this exchange. I want to put it up for our viewers to see it.
Stand up right now, if you can. Senator Cassidy, can you please apologize to my children for ruining their futures?
Hey, guess what? If in the future somebody makes it, I know your parents are using you as tools.
No,
but if
we're
in the
not
future,
using them as
in the
tools.
future, if somebody makes an allegation against you and there's no proof for it, you will be okay.
And you should hope that.
I don't know Bill Cassidy, but I'm impressed by his calmness and clarity. Is that the answer to screaming mobs, calmness, clarity?
Yeah, it always is, because, and listen, Tucker, I don't think it's a big mystery. Like, I can get feisty sometimes. My Queen's personality comes out. But there's a reason this works. When I ran for office in Maryland, I'll never forget this. You're not speaking to the liberal. The liberal, in many of these cases, is irrational, is already committed to the fact that you're an evil person, that not just that you have evil ideas, right? What you're speaking to is the third party listening, and in this case, the social media ecosystem, because everything's on tape. People who see that are now going to say, wait, that lady cared so much about her children. Why did she chase Bill Cassidy down the hall then and leave them there? Who brings their children up to Capitol Hill to confront the United States senator? I mean, listen, I'm all for big R rights to free speech, to protest. But I mean, that seems kind of outrageous. What do your kids know about Supreme Court policy or the confirmation process? It's absurd. And it's just another way to make Republicans appear evil.
To use your children as political props and drag them into a political debate is disgusting. And I'm saying that as a parent. I'm free to make that judgment. I don't think any normal parent would do that. It's bizarre, actually.
I wouldn't either, Tucker. I have two girls myself.
Of course not. I mean, I don't even talk politics with my adult children. Like, please. Thank you, Dan. You got it.